during the pandemic, we were super challenged. And now because we have such a good supply and people are coming back to the city, we're seeing people invest here, which is fantastic for everybody. The problem in the other regions is that there's a lack of supply and the demand has remained. So New York City is now a much better market than it was, even 6 months ago. So we're very optimistic. We're just trying to encourage everybody to get out there today and vote. We know the mayor's race is on the way, the primary, and you can vote up until 9 o'clock. I voted on Saturday, and I think it's so important. It is the most consequential race for New York City. And we want to make sure we put in place candidates that are going to make safety a number one priority.
Right. Oh, I can see that. And obviously that's key to your business in many ways, as is, though, something we talk about a lot here, Bess, which is a return to the office. Still so many people not actually going to the office. Now, they may live in New York or they may not, but it does affect, I would think, their willingness to consider living in New York if they actually have to go to the office every day in New York, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I mean, during the pandemic, it was great that people could work from home and do Zooms and that sort of thing. But we're seeing little by little that tick up. People are coming in more and more. And I think people want to be together. You can't build culture from home in your sweatpants. I think you really want to be together. And I think businesses are starting to support more of that. Companies like Tiffany's insisted that people come in. We're having all of our employees come in. People are vaccinated. It's safe. And so it's a new day. I think little by little, you will see more and more people return to the office.
The mayoral primary, of course, as you mentioned, I mean, the business community, I would assume, is more or less hoping for a moderate candidate to emerge victorious, concerned about taxes, as you say, concerned about public safety, quality of life issues. How likely do you think that is? Not necessarily naming one name, but that it will not be one of perhaps the more progressive candidates that actually wins.
I'm cautiously optimistic. I think New Yorkers are just tired of what we've had for the last 8 years. We want a change. We're desperate for a change. And we want a unifier, somebody who can work with the business community, work with the unions, work with the teachers, and be pro-business and would encourage things like an Amazon deal or a Sunset Park deal. We want somebody like that. And I'm very optimistic. We have some really good candidates that are running, that are doing well, who understand that they have to work with the police. Doesn't mean they can't be critical of the police. That's important. But we want somebody who's going to bring us together and keep us safe. Remember, without safety, we get nowhere. If we don't have safety, you don't have your aunt from New Jersey coming in to see Hamilton. You don't have people riding the subways. People don't open businesses. Tourism goes down. So we need somebody who's going to support all of those things, and we can do that. So I'm counting on New Yorkers to show up today and vote. It is so important for our city.
Yeah, it reminds me actually of that letter from September with the 165 business executives and leaders. They wrote to Mayor de Blasio about, enhancing public safety to allow more workers to go back to their offices. But another question I have involves tax policy, which, of course, is front and center for a lot of people who live in this city. Do you see any likelihood of a big change in one direction or another with regard to tax policy, especially after the city did receive, a decent amount of stimulus for its post-pandemic recovery? Do you get the sense that there is some momentum to change tax policy here?
Yeah, I think there is. We don't want to drive people out of the city or businesses, and that's happened time and time again. So we have to have responsible tax policy that's steeped in economics, not politics. And so I hope, we were able to, there was a pied-à-terre tax that was looming. A lot of people got together and we were able to sort of stomp that out for right now. But I hope that we will be more responsible so that we can keep people investing in New York City, wanting to live here. If everybody moves to Florida, it's going to hurt our city for the long term. So we have to think, the legislators in Albany have to take that into account. They have to think about the future, not just a narrative on Twitter. And I think that's what's happened in the last decade here in New York City.